that one on this occasion.
We do know you have a camera. Stop lying.
I'm not putting it on.
We know you have a camera.
I'm not putting it
Yeah,
on.
I'm definitely not switching mine on. Look,
just go and get your puppy. Just go and get your puppy, and no one will look at you.
I'm not going and getting Joan. That's too much.
This is going to be
that's
manic.
how it's done. Totally not at all manic.
Wine!
Wine!
Vodka!
I couldn't even be worse than drinking
Water!
right now. Fucking hell, that'd be appalling. So
do we want to do gallery view?
Yeah, can do. No, that's
for the viewers. It will make us all smaller, but we'll
that's
be
fine.
on it.
Yeah, people can see less of me.
You can tell how long lockdown's been going on because it's a genuine pleasure to see your faces.
Thanks.
There's a backhanded compliment in case you wanted one.
Hello and welcome to this special episode of the Megagame Assembly podcast, where it is our sad duty to say goodbye to MegaCon. This is where you all do like, sad noise. Come on, guys, come on. It's been one hell of a weekend, and I know there have been some amazing stories, and we will get to those very soon. But first, we have some guests. Once again, I'm joined by Matt. Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
I am very, very well. Thank you, Harrison.
Excellent. I'm also joined once again by Becky. Becky, how's it going?
Really, really, really good. I have wine again.
Yeah, this is the podcast that is going to go so very badly wrong. There have been so many fun and exciting moments. I felt two guests simply wasn't enough. So it's my absolute pleasure to welcome the rest of the MegaCon organisers. First up, Ed from Reading Megagames. How are you, Ed?
Hello, yes, tired and manic.
Good combination. And then he needs no introduction. Yeah. Lock up your nuclear weapons because Chris Brown is here as well. How's it going, Chris?
I'm good, thanks, Harrison. How are you?
Good, fine. I'm fine. I haven't been working hard this weekend like you guys have, so I'm in a better frame of mind than all of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I am knackered.
Right, as I said, it's been an amazing weekend, and there are so many stories and highlights we want to cover. Hopefully, you've all sent your favourite memories from the weekend to us, and if you haven't, don't worry, there's still time. Either type plus exclamation mark memories in the Discord. Is that right, Chris? I should check that.
I'll give you a link.
Yep, fine. Into the Discord or send them along in the Q&A and I'll try and get through as many as possible. But first, let's hear from our guests. I've asked them all to prepare a few highlights from the weekend, and we are once again going to round robin this bad boy. So let's do this alphabetically. Becky, you're up first.
Shoot. Oh, wait, I wrote them down.
You're focusing on your wine rather than your questions.
I'm focusing on my phone where I wrote my answers down, actually. Thank you, Harrison. I'm going to start off with the first evening. I just think that MegaCon got off to such a fantastic start. Firstly, of course, with our opening podcast. Then not to big us up too much.
No, that's my job.
Then with Beck's talk. And then just the vibe in the pub that first evening, it just got MegaCon off to such a fantastic start. And I went into the rest of the weekend just feeling so hyped. So yeah, that's one of my favourite moments. Fantastic.
Chris, you're up next.
Oh God. Okay, good. I too have prepared something. So I've been quite focused on all the talks and seminars, if I can say it properly, going on over the weekend. And I think one of my favourites was probably Alan Marshall's. His Megagaming and Professional Education talk was yesterday afternoon. Alan's a tutor at the Sheffield Hallam University here in the UK, and he spoke very well. I think he spoke so well about his personal experiences of being a geek and being a gamer and obviously being a tutor at the university, and how he has been running. I think he's run 8 Megagames for his students on dealing with complex issues and that professionals come up against when they're dealing with vulnerable people and trying to help them. He even had one of his group of students asked to continue playing the game after they'd finished their debrief. That's how much fun they were having. And he said that has never happened to him in his 20 years as a lecturer. So I think that was a really fantastic talk.
Nice. Ed, what's your one?
So the accessibility seminar, I haven't been able to get to many of the seminars. My sort of to watch list on YouTube in the next couple of weeks will be quite long. But I found that one just a real eye-opener. Like, so many points made that in hindsight are obvious common sense, but I would not have thought of. So many things that have just made me radically reassess like how I think about game design. And I mean, like, also genuinely, like, in a selfish kind of way, there's that real sense in which like constraints spark creativity. And actually, if I've as a weekend, I found this weekend as brought alive the sort of designer in me as well. I'm like really excited to get back to mega game design projects in various different ways, and that was a real sort of spur on that. To like, oh, that sparked lots of ideas about how not to do it, how it could be done, interesting directions to take a potential design. So yes, I am excited.
Excellent. Matthew.
Yeah, mine also spawns off the accessibility panel, and it was something that Jim did actually. So just a one-liner. We've got a little channel for people running games and podcasts, and he just put in, just to let you know, inspired by the diversity and inclusion panel last night, I did the audiobook version of City of Yendor game guides and the key docs to the channel, and it was just such a buzz to have done the panel and then talked about these things, and then less than 24 hours later someone was gone, oh, that's a good idea, let's do that. And it was just really thrilling and awesome, basically, to have done it and seen something be delivered so quickly, and I hope more people do that. So that was really awesome for me personally.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I'm going to do a couple from our survey we sent out. So once again, it's not too late if you want to have your story added. It's just a very quick couple sentences on some of your favorite memories. So the first one's from Patrick, who says that his highlight was getting attacked by all of the submarine officers because they assumed I was a bad actor, and my aristocrat training meant I was better at combat than trained sailors.
Nice.
Brilliant.
And then one from Caleb, who was the CS Japan, I'm assuming that's chief scientist. Their highlight was covering up that we were the creators of Godzilla. We convinced multiple players that China was responsible for creating it, when in reality it was Japan the whole time.
Always Japan.
Always Japan, particularly if it's Godzilla. I mean, if it's...
Oh, yeah. It's not going to be China, is it?
They've got themselves to blame for buying that story, really.
That is
Japan
impressive if
says-
you managed to convince them that Godzilla is Chinese.
Yeah.
Can anyone fill us in a bit on why there was a Godzilla in Watch the Skies? Or
You've met Johan, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, and that essentially is the answer. Early on in the game, or in the pre-game, Johan decided to tell the Japanese team that they had a top secret Japanese laboratory in a tiny islet off the Pacific coast, had recently finished developing a new bioweapon, and it was ready for field testing, but this was top secret information, and the project had been underground for 10 years and so on and so forth. And then 2 hours before the game, they were sent a second message going, the entirety of that laboratory has been mysteriously destroyed. Nothing at all has been recovered. The one survivor is sort of committed suicide out of shame, and we should probably hush this up. So hush it up they did. And we were going to leave it be because, Godzilla had just wandered out into the Pacific and was having a great time on the seafloor. But the aliens then went and did a thorough scan of the seafloor and found Godzilla and started taunting it. And it went from bad to worse. Yeah, well, absolutely.
Yeah, I have a little bit up from someone. Glenn Russell wrote that their highlight was getting to argue that aliens should assist us in genetically engineering a gigantic chicken to battle Godzilla because it would create more balance in the world. Which is a sentence I never thought I'd read out, but there we go.
I've got so many questions about the genetically engineered giant chicken. And the thing is, I'm not sure whether I want answers to those questions.
No.
Or whether I'm better off just not knowing about the genetically altered giant chicken.
My biggest question would be, why a chicken? Why did they go for genetically engineering a chicken?
Yeah, you go for a monkey.
I mean, you should really go for a giant ape.
Yeah, I would have gone for a bear or a gorilla or something. Yeah. Why are we trying to analyze this?
Move on.
I was saying to someone yesterday that this is what I miss about in-person mega games, that you can't have these conversations in pubs where normal people can overhear you saying all this stuff and just be like, what?
What are these mad people doing?
Discussing the merits of genetically engineering a chicken as opposed to a bear to fight Godzilla.
But most of all, we don't get to spend 10 hours drinking in a pub. I want a pint, everyone. I need a pint.
Hey, I was going to say, it's not stopping some of you. Okay, let's do another highlight then from Shona, He said that becoming a duchy of pirates and buccaneers in As Thou Commands was their highlight, then making their cat god part of the official state religion and giving it human sacrifices.
It's a busy day.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly happened in As Thou Commands.
What exactly happened in any of these things is a very valid question, I feel. Right, let's get back to hopefully some more sane ones. Becky, do you have another highlight for us?
Yeah, so one of my, as Ed's already mentioned, like I have just spent this entire weekend feeling so inspired to work on things, and I've started designing 2 additional games in addition to the one that I came into the weekend planning on designing.
Are you mad?
This is what we call doing a Rob.
Yeah, I think I definitely have a bit of the Rob Grayson syndrome going on, but no, the big thing for me was Ed's design a Megagame panel, which I didn't manage to catch all of, sadly, so I wasn't participating much in actually generating things, but just watching how you were developing it on Miro. I now have a Miro board for my line of duty in the Expanse universe-ish Megagame, and it's got so much on it, and Miro is just so good for this sort of development. So like, thank you, Ed, for like showing people how to actually kickstart that design process using something like Miro. I just think like so many people who are designing games, have ideas at the moment, are going to be opening that up and being like, oh my god, this is so much better than a Word document to start with.
100% heartily recommend it. I've a lot of my design recently has happened on Miro as well. Just it's such a great creative space to get your ideas out there.
Very cool. It's probably worth a good time to mention that if you, like us, have missed out on any of the seminars because you were too busy genetically engineering a chicken to fight Godzilla or whatever your excuse was, all of the panels and seminars and talks and everything will be available digitally as soon as someone gets around to editing them and uploading them, I believe. I don't know if you guys have set a date for when that's going to happen, or I assume there'll be some sort of announcement somewhere, right?
Yeah, ideally within a week or so. We'll definitely start having some up, even if it's not all of them up.
Cool. So keep tuned to our Facebook page for notifications of when those things go live. Chris, what's your next memory?
Actually, I'm going to follow Becky with being Ed panel again. I was expecting Ed's panel on designing a mega game in an hour that ran earlier today to be not at all productive. I have to say, my expectation was that I'd be tuning in for all 4 designers arguing about the best way to construct a specific mechanic and actually failing in doing that. But what that turned out happened was a very well thought out hour of design with lots of audience participation. And for me, the guys were designing a Western mega game, which was one of my #1 favorite thing to play. I haven't yet played a Western mega game, but I really want to. Given half a chance, I would be there like a shot. And I might be in luck actually, because Alex Beck from Horizon Meg Games said he may be picking up the idea and running with it. So Alex, if you're listening at any point, shut up and take my money.
And Chris doesn't say that often.
No, I really don't. No, that's a very
like pulling teeth.
Yes, very much so.
Okay, well then, Ed, I suppose the question is, when are you finishing designing that Western mega game?
Yeah, well, I had no plans to really do it more than as an exercise, but it was a really good group of people to be trying to design something with, and if Alex is open to the idea of continuing to design it as a group, again, I would be there. Like, I think, yeah, it really felt like it has legs. Like as a game, I was expecting us to come up with like have a session that sort of showcases how to do design, kind of, or at least how we approach design, but not really to come out with anything coherent. But yeah, by a happy accident, we did. So
nice. It looks like John Keyworth says he's game in the chat there. So there you go. You're not doing it on your own. That looks like a firm commitment to me. Right. And so, what's your other memory from the weekend, Ed?
So it's not really a single memory as such, but I have super enjoyed seeing how many people have played their first mega game this weekend and have really, from the looks of things, been hooked. Sort of, I've snuck into, well, I was in the debrief from Watch the Skies because I helped control it, and then snuck into a couple of other debriefs as well. And yeah, people have like consistently been saying, you know, I've never mega game before, but yeah, this is amazing, and I'd love to do another one. And that's really fantastic to see. So yeah, that's my other main highlight.
Corrupting more people into this hobby.
Absolutely.
Matt, what's your memory?
So yeah, in the kind of vein of Becky and Ed, I really enjoyed John's map making. One today. I'm terrible at maps, and I don't tend to have that much inspiration for them. So it was great to see someone actually going through that process and showing you how it can be done. And it's inspired me for things I want to do for the game I'm designing, much like Ed and Becky. My creative juices have been stirred again. So I actually wrote some stuff today, actually, between panels. So the combination of those things has been really, really great for me, and it's so nice to see it after 12 months of, while there have been games here and there, and it's been really interesting to see the play by email stuff. It's just great to be thinking about Megagames again and having loads of energy, because as people have said, I've really missed those chats down the pub where you get ideas from people and they really spur you to do different things that I wouldn't have thought about doing myself at all, but are really interesting once you're introduced to them.
Fantastic. Okay, let's delve into the listener one, see if we've got any more Godzilla or chickens in here. Rob's highlight was Ethiopia trying to get fair elections in Uganda and instead installing a militia warlord as, quote, president for life, all with UN backing.
Ooh.
Which sounds like standard UN activity at the Watchers, guys, to be honest.
I also heard that Ethiopia were quite shocked they installed a dictator, so they decided to go straight back in again and depose the dictator they just installed. Well done.
Well, if at first you don't succeed,
Yeah.
I try again.
yeah. Complain a bit louder. Okay, one from Alex Beck. Took lots of ideas from Alex Vince's talk on professional games, already thinking about ways to convince my boss to let me play games all day. But all the talks I've attended have been really interesting. Great con. Thank you very much, Alex. Anyone of you guys were in Alex Vince's talk? Talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was really, really fantastic, actually. Alex was a great speaker. He he designed the presentation. He had various slides in there that he obviously claimed didn't mean to be in there. They slipped in from a different place. But yeah, he was very funny. He's obviously thought a lot about it, how he wants to go about doing it within the civil service, introducing wargaming as a more far-reaching thing. He set up a network, and yeah, it was really interesting to see how he's doing it. And people were obviously questioning how they could do it in their jobs, and he was sort of saying start small, get people's buy-in, and once they see a game that they like, they soon forget about the fact that this is supposed to be fun and actually is very useful to a work environment as well. But yeah, it was a very, very good talk.
Fantastic. Yes, that's definitely on my list of ones I want to catch up on. Okay, back to the highlights. Oh dear, another one from Watch the Skies. Let's see what this does. Yeah, Godzilla's mentioned straight away. Okay, so this is Daniel, who was CD Japan, Chief of Defense, I'm going to assume. So we started out with a Godzilla with underwater bunker, with an underwater bunker holding it. A reactor exploded and caved it in. So we were just like, that can't possibly come back to bite us. Surely not. So we just disowned it, and it would become anyone who found its problem. So then the aliens found it, and we decided to perfectly blame it on China the round before it breaks out and releases havoc.
Watch the Skies right there, I think.
Godzilla, clearly the gift that keeps on giving. Right. Benjamin Smith. Sorry, did you have something to say about Godzilla again?
Yes, well, why not? Yeah, no, I think there's a great piece on just visual impact there, because I think the token Johan created to represent Godzilla on the map in that game was sort of fully 4 times the size of the country of Japan in terms of how big it appeared on the map, and so sort of about 12 times the size of any one of the military units. And it's, even in an online setting, it's a neat example to me of how props focus attention and bring on theme and so forth. So it was just very minor thing, but I think it's no surprise that everyone came away from the game so excited about it. And I genuinely think if he'd used a token physically the same size as a single army battalion, like the reaction would not have been nearly as excited, even though mechanically the same things would have been happening.
Yeah.
So here's the question, Ed. How big was the token for Chickenzilla?
It was about 2/3 the size to appropriately communicate the fact that Chickenzilla wasn't quite at Godzilla power levels.
Did Chickenzilla and Godzilla actually meet in combat, or?
I don't believe they did. The Russians lost control of
disappointing.
Chickenzilla quite early on, which again is not a phrase you ever expect to say, but there we go.
Right, well,
moving on.
Benjamin Smith writes, watch the skies, oh dear. The sudden and unanimous decision by the aliens on giving up on humanity and cocooning them into Earth and away from the galaxy as a whole forever. I think that sounds like it was the wise decision.
Was
Really
that
does.
before or after the chicken?
I'm imagining after, right?
It was about the same time.
About the same time.
At the same time.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Chicken, no more of this. Just no more.
Just put a wrap around it, walk away. It's probably for the best. Okay. Becky, do you have another memory for us or a highlight?
Yes, I do. So so I've been dropping into chats at various points across all the games and all the play tests, partly in my role as safety officer and partly because I've been filming like micro snippets of bits of the games and the play tests to include in a highlights reel at the end. And I was like, I'm going to have to do this loads, you know, I'll have to jump in a few times in order to find some good footage. Every single time I've jumped in, I have just got the best quotes. So here are some examples. I don't know why we're not moving yet. This was on the submarine game. I don't know why we're not moving. We are moving. Yay, I fixed it. I'm okay with them starving. There are no spreadsheets in the real Yendor. Like just one-liners that you only get at a mega game. And so I only got tiny. Okay, according to Patrick, they were not in fact moving, but
That makes it even better.
Yes, definitely. And when I jumped into Under Pressure, the alarm was going off, so that was great as well. Got to capture that. But yeah, these moments that only happen at mega games, and even though I didn't get to take part in a single mega game, just like hearing people having those conversations every single time I dropped into the room was just so wonderful to hear.
Fantastic. And please do keep those Q&As coming, audience. You have Qs, we have As. They don't necessarily have to be in memories. If you want to ask us some difficult questions, that's fine as well. I highly encourage it, in fact. Chris, do you have another highlight for us?
Yeah, I'm going to go a bit gooey on you. So hearing, as you mentioned, all these crazy stories with Godzilla and Chickzilla fighting or not fighting or whatever they're doing, stomping around the Pacific, it obviously reminds me of the before times, before the pandemic. And I'm really glad we were able to sort of run some digital mega games because it's the sort of second best thing. It's great fun. Obviously for me, I'd rather be in a real mega game, but this is definitely the second best thing for me because at the end of the day, it's all about the stories for me that are created. I love roaming around the pub after a game and hearing them. In fact, I will, a bit like other players I know, I would probably sort of torpedo myself in a game to, even if it's the wrong decision and it's the obviously wrong decision, I will take it because I'd much rather have a funny story to tell later on. So yeah, Megagamers are definitely my tribe, and I'm very happy we were able to run this for everyone.
No.
Oh, that's the last time you're going to be gooey. Yeah, that's it. Done.
No.
Cold
yeah,
hard
but we've
back.
recorded it. We've recorded it.
Damn it.
So this was
Gonna
the
be on
wrong
loop
time
at the
to
next
admit that
game.
you have a heart.
Ed, do you have another one for us?
Yeah, I mean, very similarly, just I've really loved the way that in the sort of pub channels, I know I was skeptical before the con started that people would really bother to use the pub channels outside of like immediately following a game. But there's just been a sort of nice low-key hang in those channels all the way through the con. Lots of really fascinating, really weird discussions, lots of, again, getting to know and getting to meet folks also into megagaming from all over the world. So yeah, it's just been really nice to see that actually, in parts at least, the community has been bolstered as well, and people have really got to build connections in the way that you would at a real con, but I didn't necessarily expect to happen at this one. But I'm really glad it has.
Fantastic. Matthew, one more from you.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've been gazumped slightly by Chris and Ed.
The trouble of going last there, man. That's the problem.
It's probably going last, yeah, and I'll go slightly gooey as well. It's been great to see so many people popping along to this. I think when we thought about doing this after kind of OMG and thinking about online events in general, we weren't sure, could we do it? Were we going to have many people attend it? And it's just been really nice that even though the core of the Megagame community is basically going and doing things in a village hall or wherever you play your games and then going to the pub, it's been nice to see that over the last year, it has kept together. It's adapted itself to online games in different forms, and people still want to show up to something like this and play games and tell stories and chat. And I think I'd be in a much, much worse place than I am without Megagames and all of your ugly mugs. If I hadn't had you guys around for the last year. So this has been really great to kind of get the band back together and see lots of new faces and hear people's stories. And yeah, it's been awesome and lovely and wonderful.
Okay, well, before we get too mushy, let's get on to some more silly feedback about Godzilla and Fighting Godzilla, because I do see the next one is once again from Watch the Skies. So everybody, here we go. Okay, I know this one is not actually, well, it may involve Godzilla, I'm not sure. So this is from Frank Camp, and their highlight was in Watch the Skies in the UN Security Council when the news came in that one country had declared war to another, and the statement of the honorary member for that country following this news was the legendary, "Did we?"
Yeah.
Oh, every Watch the Skies.
Yeah, I do love
Watch the
that.
Skies. Never tell your UN player anything. Keep them completely in the dark. It's the best way.
Plausible
Too busy,
deniability.
aren't they? They're too busy
Exactly.
meetings
Don't
all
interrupt
day.
them. Yeah, don't interrupt them. It's fine. Let
Yeah.
them chat.
More
I'm
Somebody
not-
else.
I'm not ashamed to say that has happened to me. You've declared war on these two countries. I've what? And then having to decide on the spot where you were just going to apologize and go, no, I haven't done this, or style this out and go, yes, I have, and they deserve it.
Yes, and I'll tell you why later.
Why? Oh, yes.
Okay, so another one from Kevin Farnworth. Turn 2 of Red Planet Rising, central government investigated a terrorist bombing and picked the secret traitor responsible to help with the investigation. The misinformation snowballed for the entire game.
Oh, God.
Oh, brilliant.
Again,
God damn
a
it,
classic
Becky.
mega game moment.
Yeah. Put your faith in the traitor.
Yeah, like someone electing a wolf president.
Who would do something like that?
That'd be ridiculous. I blame the media myself. They misrepresented the situation. Okay, for another Red Planet Rising, this one from Jonathan Terry. Their highlight was getting bomb designs from the black market. Now we have solid borders, which sounds a little bit ominous, but there we go. It was a highlight for them, apparently. And then another Red Planet Rising from Denley. I came into Red Planet Rising as a solo player and was matched up with the best possible teammates on Biodyne. We worked together towards our team goal and built our own fully operational terraforming station just before the last turn. Thank you so much for making Mars green again. Copyright.
Nice.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? You can come along as a single player and still have a fantastic time because people, you bond very quickly on a team if you're up against everybody else or for whatever reason. Then yeah, you can have a very great time.
It's definitely a friendship creating moment, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to slightly mix up the formula and read out a question that's been sent in by Jen in the chat. Thank you, Jen. If you could imagine Megagames in 10 years' time, what would you hope had changed / improved? Now, Matt, I kept coming to you last, so I'll come to you first on this one. How's that for you?
Oh, thank you very much, Harrison. So yeah, I would hope the diversity has changed in the game. So we weren't, someone said 83% white dudes, and as much as I said I love all you white dudes, but it would be nice to see more diversity at games. So I would hope that's changed massively in 10 years time, and not just for basically because I believe will come a stronger hobby with lots of different ideas, lots of different games basically coming from different communities and peoples of different backgrounds. I'd like to see consistency of Megagames have changed by that point. I think, and I've talked about it before in various occasions, that at the moment there's this big gap in consistency when you go to games. You don't really know what you're getting, not necessarily in terms of theme, that can be a bit off, but just you can go to some games and they're the best day ever. They knock your socks off, and you can go to other days where you're really scrambling to get a game. And I don't necessarily think that's a game designer's fault, because I don't necessarily think we've got the support infrastructure in place for play testing, ticket prices for control, or whatever it may be. There are a lot of issues in there, and I hope over the next 10 years we could change some of that. And I'll stop now because there are probably a dozen things I'd like to be different, but I'll stick with those two.
Okay, Ed, do you have anything to answer to that question?
I mean, I do want to just repeat what Matt said about diversity in the hobby, because I think there are other things I could say, but that is just the most important one. Like, yeah, we've gotten incrementally better at game design. I think as time has gone by, we've understood it incrementally better. There's a lot of things where we're slowly improving. That one feels like it's just been agonizing, and it's one I'd love to see us put a lot more attention towards. I would like to see sort of more sort of standard game design practices, standardized game running practices making their way in, rather than it being all sorts of a mishmash and a web of like advice that you got from this other person who you bumped into at this other game. Like a bit more, some of what Megagame Assembly was trying to do with the sort of design blogs and that sort of thing, just having standard design patterns more available so people aren't constantly reinventing the wheel. But yeah, the diversity and inclusivity thing, I think, has got to be at the heart of community efforts.
Yeah, for sure. Becky?
So while you guys were talking, I was opening up my notes from my Megagames in 2030 talk that I did.
Actually, you've already done a blog post about the question, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I did the talk at last year's True North Design Symposium as well. So like, yeah, absolutely echo what people have said about diversity, like in all ways, in all manners. Megagames for kids, like kids designing Megagames in schools. Why the hell not? Like, there probably already are, to be completely honest with you. Like, I swear I remember doing some of those sort of wacky things, and kids have such great imaginations. Like, yeah, obviously in terms of getting more people from different ethnicities, more women involved, more non-binary people involved, more countries around the world, but like also them bringing in new ideas. Like, I think immersive theatre coming into Megagames could do some really cool stuff. I think improvements in technology at Megagames, which I think was already talked about. I can't remember who's talked today, but I think it's been mentioned a few times, getting more technology in games, and yeah, just everything becoming bigger in terms of Megagame hobby, more people coming in, it being more known about. So like in 10 years time, could it have the same sort of cultural awareness as LARP does currently, where it's not a thing that everyone's heard of, but it's a thing that every geek has heard of, really, or like most geeks have heard of? Megagames could be a thing that every geek has heard of in 10 years.
That would be cool. That would be cool. Chris, anything to add?
I would just echo Becky, really. I'd love to see more people. One of the sort of goals of Megagame Assembly, I think, was to try and help people understand what Megagames are and see that there's a calendar there and come along to games. So yeah, I would like to see more people. I'd like to greater understanding what Megagames are, because it's such a niche hobby. We all know it is. It's obviously increased. We're all here because of the Shut 'Em Sit Down video, Watch the Skies in 2014. But yeah, just I don't know what can increase it. I'm not a marketer, unfortunately, but I think if we around the world, I mean, there's more people now playing it than ever been, I suppose. So as long as it just keeps growing that way, I'm not sure there'll be an exponential explosion within 10 years. I hope there is, but yeah, just an understanding, like you say, Becky, within the geek community, people understand what LARPs are. I'd love them to understand what Megagames are too, and then we get a whole lot more people players that way, I think.
Very good, very good. Follow up from Jen. In 10 years, will we still be fighting about what a mega game is?
Yes.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Oh, controversy.
If we are going to be a thing that people have heard of, then I think there will be an understanding of what it is, and it still won't be all encompassing, just like it isn't for World LARP or other things like that. But there will be a recognised thing that generally people don't dispute.
I'm going to slightly disagree. There are people out there who still argue about what a board game is. I've run into passionate arguments about what does or doesn't count as a board game, and it's not like they are. Yeah, really.
But there are people that disagree over like you can say that about most things. But generally,
to be fair, will we still be arguing about it? Maybe not. Will the argument still be happening somewhere? Yes.
Yeah. I agree with both those. I think Becky's absolutely right. I would love to think basically in 10 years' time, for 99% of the time, if you said to someone mega game, they'd have an understanding of what that is, and that there may be different types to it. But Ed is right. There's always some idiot pedant out there who decides they want to argue about what a board game is. Oh, go home.
They're already home, don't worry.
Never underestimate the hill a person will die on.
Yes.
One rule for dealing with people on the internet, I find. Okay, let's go back to the highlights survey. So this is from LJ. He says that a traitor from Red Planet Rising got caught on camera and said it was my clone, and this was believed by a large portion of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing!
Nice.
Unless you're playing in a sci-fi setting.
I'm guessing there's no clones in the game at all.
Not so far, although
there is now.
I'm using that. I'm remembering that and using it at my next game.
Yeah. Just look straight into the camera, bold face lie.
Yeah.
Bigger the better.
Oh dear, I've just read ahead of this one. I'm sorry in advance. So this is from Lee Griffin. Reinvigorating the beast big chicken with our South African scientific colleagues to leave it to roam Siberia in the Watch the Skies playthrough. Real science. So apparently it was the beast.
It was called the Beast.
It was in Siberia. I suppose there's nobody living in Siberia. That's
not
okay.
anymore.
Was their justification.
It's murder for the property prices, I'm sure. Okay, another one from Benjamin Smith. Baron Fenton in Yendor being able to meet all Thieves Guild goals without taking a penny away from the nobles, which just seems like quite an achievement.
On that, the thing that I managed to get when I dropped into Yendor was all of the nobles complaining about how poor they were.
never underestimate a rich player telling you how poor they are.
Yeah,
I've done it many times.
Yeah.
Got nothing.
Yeah. I think we all
It's
have,
amazing how much people
I've got no
plead
money.
poverty when the tax man comes around.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which was clinking away as you walk off.
Okay, there we have one from Pete. In Den of Wolves, knowingly arresting and prosecuting my fellow wolf for poisoning the water supply prior to arming him following the trial. That's a bold strategy.
That's incredible.
Oh, I love that.
Arming him after the trial. It seems like quite a lot went off the walls in Den of Wolves. I don't know if anyone has anything they can fill in on that.
I mean, there's sort of two separate strategies there, isn't it? Because like passionately fighting for the punishment or the accusation of one of your fellow wolves is a good way to ensure that at least one of you seems innocent to everyone else. And then obviously separately arming your fellow sort of imprisoned wolf so that presumably they can kill their guards and make a heroic or anti-heroic last stand. But doing both at once is very bold.
Yeah. It's apparently worked out
Chris,
for them.
when you were caught as a wolf, I fully abandoned you to your fate.
That's the right thing to do.
I agree.
I'm just impressed they managed to find out who one of their fellow wolves was, because when I was a wolf at Den of Wolves, I only managed to find out Johan, and I had no idea whether anyone else was. So when I was running for president, I think I chose John T as my running mate, and then all these rumors started going around that he was a wolf, and I was like, is he a wolf? Like, if he is a wolf, then maybe I should talk to him. But if he's not a wolf, like, I probably still shouldn't have him as my running mate. But like,
Frantically trying to drop the the code word without being incredibly obvious, but using it every sentence just kind of
John T. No, from John T.
Yeah.
No, I'm just incompetent. Oh no, John T.
no,
No,
not at all. Not at all.
No, but you weren't a wolf. That's right. Yeah. I think you got arrested.
Quite a few people got arrested in that one, actually.
Yeah, I made sure of it.
Well, I didn't arrest you. I just kicked you out of the airlock.
Might
It's a lot
arrest
more
everybody else.
Much safer.
it's the right thing to do. I blew up a ship for him, the little shit.
We appreciate your service to the wolf community.
Okay, so I'm going to jump over to the Q&As. Please do keep these coming. First of all, Pickles would like to know, how haggard does Chris look?
I'm very tired. I cannot tell you. I am so shattered right now. It's currently 10:40 in the UK, and I want to go to bed right now.
I think it's been a long
I
weekend
beg
for
to
all of
differ.
these guys.
Pickles, how dare you say such a thing? Chris looks beautiful as always.
Too much hair, that's for sure.
Are you saying he always looks this bad, or he looks good at the moment? Which
Moving
one of
on.
those two is it?
Tired.
Okay. From Watch the Skies, President of Argentina eating alien fruit on international TV without any prior testing or a second thought to their own safety. What could
Yeah.
possibly go wrong?
No, nothing.
So it turns out nothing, but it was definitely a bold swing from them.
Big time.
They
like
put,
it.
they put their faith in the aliens in a big way.
We're two from John T. Chris, your hair is luscious, is the first one.
I don't know, like long, I'm not sure luscious.
And a question for you, is MegaCon something you're envisioning for future years, and will you be playing with the format? Anyone want to take that one?
Ooh.
Yeah,
mean-
I will.
Go on, Becky.
I have been trying to get MegaCon to be a thing. It's like fetch. I've been trying to make MegaCon happen for several years now, and I'm so pleased that MegaCon has finally happened. And it did take it being an online thing to finally make it all come together. I'd love to do this again in the future. Who knows what format it will take once the pandemic is over, whether it will stay online, whether it will look at doing it in a physical space. But I do think that we built something here, and I don't just want it to be this event and that be it.
Yeah, I'll echo Becky there. I think Becky and I tried first time 2018, 2017?
18, then 19.
18. and getting things in a physical space just didn't turn out to work. And I think we kind of put it on the back bench until an event we all went to somewhere else, and then OMG popped up, and then it all of a sudden looked like a possibility, and here we are. So I'd love to do it again. And I think there's possibly interesting things we could do with the format, but I'm going to plug the feedback form you've all got, because we do desperately need the feedback. Undoubtedly, some things in the weekend will have worked really well, and some things people will want improvements on. So please make sure you do those. And I'd like to say I'm certainly up for it that MegaCon will be back next year, but all things in good time.
Yeah, there's certainly a will to do it again. Whether it's another online thing, whether we are crazy enough to attempt an in-person Mega Game convention, we'll have to see. There's a sort of a lot of open questions to be answered before we decide on that.
Can I also just
So.
absolutely massive props to Chris, because I think Chris has been the force of nature behind actually making this happen on an actual date. At an actual time. I think Matt and I are kind of dreamers, and
Yeah,
And
those who've mega gamed with Chris, you would not think it, but in real life, insanely organized.
I echo that, and hats off to Chris, who without the
Thank you.
organization.
Thank you. No. Honestly, you guys were pivotal to it. I mean, Becky, we wouldn't have a website if it wasn't for you. Jeez, it was amazing.
you nearly didn't with me, you know.
No.
There were a few evenings where there wasn't. But...
oh God, still having the nightmares.
Well, while
But
we're
yeah.
being all cushy, I would like to go on record and say that I've done absolutely nothing because I was supposed to be moving house this weekend, so I didn't really want to commit to anything. So please don't send any praise my way. I deserve none of it, absolutely. And I'm not just saying that. I really have. I've done nothing. So please don't send anything to me. Okay, I've got one more highlight from Patrick. The Dion made cocaine wine, and I then had to spend most of the rest of my time as a facilitator explaining that yes, cocaine wine really did exist. Yes, the Pope really did endorse it. No, really, I'm not making that up.
Yep.
Has this been introduced specifically as an opportunity to plug We Love the Internet?
Well, thank you very much for mentioning that, actually, Ed. But yes, if you would like to find other hilarious facts like that, there's a certain podcast where Patrick got that information, we love the internet.co.uk. You can find lots of fun facts there. But yes, apparently the cocaine wine did sort of derail quite a lot there. So I feel like really that's Chris's fault. We can definitely point that one towards Chris.
I think it was your story, I believe, the cocaine one.
No, I think you're misremembering. For legal reasons, my lawyers told me to disavow myself of any knowledge of the cocaine wine.
I wish I knew which episode it was, never. But yeah, I'm going to go back and check.
Okay, please do keep the Q&As coming, guys. We are starting to run a little bit low, and we've got another 15 minutes to pad. So,
I just like to just sort of say, I think another of my favourite moments was realising that we managed to have Den of Wolves and Watch the Skies playing simultaneously, which like two of the biggest like mega games in megagaming running at the same time for like a 3-hour crossover. So that was another highlight for me.
Both having lots of players in them. Obviously, one was full and one was very, very full. So
yeah,
definitely.
Not that we had Watch the Skies running at the time. There was a decent sized playtest, then Den of Wolves, and then another playtest running while Den of Wolves was going on, and still had quite a few attendees to all of the panels as well. So it's been really lovely for everyone's support. Seriously, thank you very much.
Yeah, it wouldn't be possible to run this without everybody's support. So yes, thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, I'm going to go back to some of the questions that I asked to Becky and Matt on Friday evening, so you guys can have a little bit of a break while I make Chris and Ed squirm for a little bit. I think we almost got a little bit of an answer from you, Chris. But what is your top themed mega game that you would play tomorrow if you had the chance?
Oh, it would be a Western. I love the idea of being either, say, a corrupted mayor or a bandit trying to take over a train, or a gold what do you call it? Like somebody's panning for gold. Yeah, honestly, all those things would be fantastic.
Gold digger?
Gold digger, thank you, gold digger, yes. See, that's how tired I am. I have no idea what I'm talking about. No, I would do anything to do the Western mega game in a shot. It's so much. I think it's ripe for a mega game to sort of introduce those stories and for people to play that kind of fun. I think it would be so much fun. There'll be so many stories that come out of it. The shootouts. I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, alone that would be. I mean, just for the costuming opportunities.
I would dress up for a Western mega game.
Wow, okay, that alone is reason.
Make it happen.
It might just be a hat, but I would dress up.
Ed, do you have a theme that would cause you to instantly sign up for a game?
So my number one theme would be Fallen London, which is very, very niche. But Fallen London is a browser-based choose-your-own-adventure game with an obscene amount of content that is, loosely speaking, it's a sort of steampunk, Victorian, Gothic underworld. Like London falls into a giant cave under the Mediterranean, which is like a few days walk from hell, which turns out was also under the Mediterranean all along, and it only gets weirder from there. It's an incredible setting. It's full of incredible complex interwoven characters with like it's ripe for mega gaming. It is definitely copyrighted, and it is also a setting where the creators deliberately keep a lot of the truth about the setting obscure in order to, because that's part of what drives the plot, is you're never quite sure what's going on. But yeah, if someone managed to make a mega game in that setting or one like it, I would be there 100%.
Fantastic. Okay, we have another question from Patrick. What's the panel you're going to submit for next year's MegaCon? I'll start with you, Becky.
Knew you were going to say that. Oh my god, I really suck at thinking of panel ideas, to be honest with you. I'll go to someone else first. Give me a minute.
Okay. Does anyone have an answer straight off the bat? That's a good start.
Silence.
Yeah.
I have to say, I would happily organise the panel that any of these ones want to put on. I'm not necessarily going to be submitting one myself. How's that?
Yeah. Paddy does
Yeah.
make a good point that you should probably answer this question as well, Harrison.
Oh yeah, thanks. I was hoping you wouldn't have noticed that. What would I do? I would do how to incorporate technology into mega games. I think there's many different ways that, particularly, we can learn from online mega games and some of the stuff that's been developed there. For ways that we can get technology into mega games to make everyone's life a little bit easier and smoother, not just in the running of games. I think stuff like making videos for rules explanations, audiobooks for rules instead of big fat PDFs. I think there's lots of ways that we can look at. I think anything is up for grabs, really. Anything that's done at any point in the mega game, I think there's a possibility that there could be technology that can make it easier and more accessible and better. Okay, you've all had enough time to think about it.
I'm with
I've
you.
got
Yeah, that was definitely a good one. Yeah.
That's
mine
I would like to say more elements. I'd like to do something on things that we can learn from LARPs, whether that be set dressing, whether it be longer narratives and legacy, kind of characterization. I think something a lot of people agree on is that if a game has a really strong theme, people tend to enjoy that more. If they can consistently hark back to that theme, then they love that, and then they'll carry on with that theme really clearly and drive lots of good narratives and experiences. So I'd like to do something on how can we learn from LARPs and things LARPs do to encourage those behaviors, whether it be set dressing or narratives, that type of thing.
Nice. Go on, Becky, you've had long enough
Cool.
now.
Yeah. Okay, so it's not really a panel, but this is something that I think the mega game community is ready for. I think we can take it. This is going to annoy people.
Ooh.
I think we could do mega gaming awards.
Oh no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Like, there are awards for all sorts of things. It doesn't need to be us saying this is the best mega game in the world or anything like that. But it can be like map awards or specific mechanic awards or best newcomer awards or things like that. Like, that can be a thing. We don't need to say this is the best mega game of all time or anything like that, or this is the best mega game of the year. But there are things. We have got so many incredibly creative, talented, driven, determined, focused, brilliant people in this community, and they deserve to be recognized. Being nominated for awards and receiving awards is going to be a really good way, as the hobby continues to grow, for us to recognize people in the community. So I think we could do it.
Yeah. And I just like to jump in there and say, basically giving someone an award doesn't mean, as Becky said, they are the best. It means out of the ones we've had submitted for this is the ones we've judged. And it happens for films, it happens for board games, it happens for LARPs, it happens for basically everything. You put your pack together, you answer the question for the awards that you're doing, and you judge the 5 or 6 entries or 20 entries that you have and say, out of the entries we've had, we think this one deserves some recognition. It happens in loads of industries. Why does gaming have to be any different? Especially as we grow, those are interesting and useful touch points for people to look at. I'm 1,000,000% behind Becky on this.
Yeah, I think you're going to run into a bit of friction maybe, but yeah, I think more celebration of what the community achieves as a community, a fantastic positive thing, something to encourage, definitely.
And if people disagree with how we do it, they can run their own awards.
We can have
more awards.
All of the awards.
I mean, we're not claiming to be the industry body here. We're just saying that we are a group of people with a wide reach, help do these things, and this is what we think. There's nothing to stop any other group doing their own awards format. Indeed, that's how most of these things start. Has anyone noticed just how many different film recognition awards there are in a year? Sorry, say hello to a cat.
Chris, you look like you have thoughts.
Oh no! Yes, thank you, Patrick. Best Mega Game Award. No.
Best Mega Game Award.
Oh, award. Sorry, still no.
When we start having multiple awards, we can have an award ceremony for the award ceremonies.
No. I just think, I mean, whilst I agree with you, there are obviously lots of other industries with awards ceremonies and things. We are so small. It's such a small community, and I think the hurt that you might cause for somebody who thinks they've got a better made game than they weren't nominated or they didn't get picked. I just think, oh no, let it grow a bit before we decide to do that kind of thing. But I mean, if you want to do it, then I'm not involved. Go for it. But I just think it's a good idea.
It's a valid caution, and yeah, you would have to be a little sensitive about how you did it. But there's, if anything, for me, it's more a case of like, if you're doing it in that way that says this was the winner and these are all losers, then you're doing it wrong anyway. Like, done right, it would be a celebration of every mega game that was submitted, and just like an acknowledgement that the particular panel of judges' favorite was this one, but that, you know, because there's so many great mega games out there, so many amazing pieces of design work. I can see we've not convinced you. But,
no, sorry, I just
it's impossible. You can't change his mind.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
convince Chris or something.
This way, terror lies. I tell you. Oh, no.
Okay, I'm gonna jump into another highlight before we get into an argument. This one's from Barbara. A refugee from the sunken vessel sat on a submarine in under pressure, eating food and then inviting the first officer to join him, even though he was eating his rations. And what the refugee didn't realize until later was these rations were off and gave him cramps.
Oh.
Cramps on a submarine, that can't be a good idea.
No, that
Those
can't be fun.
refugees are under pressure.
oh yeah.
Yeah, they did cause us a few problems when we played it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's end with a warm and squidgy question. You're all quite deeply embedded in the mega game community. What's your favorite thing about the community as a whole? And I'm going to come to you first, Ed.
Before Ed answers, I'd just like to point out that I wrote these questions on Friday for other people to answer, not for me to answer. So
I know. That's why I'm asking them for you.
Thanks, really appreciate that. Didn't want to ask them.
Favorite thing about the mega game community as a whole? Very hard to pick on a single favorite thing, but what jumps out at me is the creativity. After almost any mega game at the pub, you'll find 20, 30 different design discussions spring up. Occasionally it can be a little hard to be the designer of that mega game and hear 20, 30 people telling you how they would have done your game differently. But and sure, people occasionally overstep, but I think the crux of what's there, like, you just don't get that in other communities, in other fields, you know. For such a high proportion of mega gamers to also be sort of passionate about game design, to have that creative mindset, to have that sort of way of looking at the world and sort of wanting to take it apart and see why it works and how it could be improved, is, I don't know why our hobby in particular attracts that sort of person so regularly, but it does, and I love it.
Excellent. That was a good one. Becky?
So I'm going to say, I could say the people, because obviously the people is a big thing. But I'm going to say the resilience of the community. This is a hobby that is built around in-person events, like that we've not been able to do for an entire year. And the hobby has fought back against the idea that we can't do our joint hobby for a year. And we have created online mega games, not me personally, but lots of fantastically creative people out there have created online mega games. We've put on events, we've built up Discord communities, we've carried on having design conversations, and we've grown as a community, even though it's been a time when realistically the community might have faltered or started to lose traction. And I feel like when we come back to mega games in the after times, it's going to be an even stronger community, and more tight knit as well. Like, I think we've forged much stronger relationships with like our mega gaming cousins over in America and Australia and everywhere else around the world. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see how we're going to continue growing even stronger. Because if a pandemic can't stop us, then what the hell can?
What can? Chickenzilla, apparently.
It's not tempt anything.
John, how about you?
I'm actually just going to go for the sappy one and say the people. To be honest, straight up the people. Over the last couple of years, I've had some hard times for various reasons, and if it wasn't for the people in the mega game community, And I can't believe I've only met some of you guys 5-6 years ago, some of you only a couple of years ago, and I can't imagine a life now without all of you wonderful idiots. And so it absolutely is the people for me. And Becky's right, forging closer relationships with the American scene and getting involved in projects there, seeing the great diversity of games and thoughts and ideas, and just the support and how welcoming the vast majority of people are. And I think it's very few hobbies I've been involved with over the years have a community that seems so open and welcoming. And I know we aren't perfect at that, and I know there are problems we have in some areas there, but in general, I just don't see the malice and the absolute idiots that I've seen in other hobbies. And maybe that's because we're small, but right now it's absolutely lovely, and I wouldn't have got through the last couple of years without everyone. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thus ends the sappiness.
Very cool. Chris, I'm afraid we don't have time for your answer.
Oh, that's a shame. I don't mind. Moving on.
Rigged.
I demand Chris's answer.
Yes, me too.
He'd just say same. He'll just say
I
same.
would say the same. I'm going to
Okay,
go
yeah,
as well.
there you
Yeah,
go.
I'm afraid. Yeah. Like I said earlier on, Megagames is my tribe, and I'm glad I found. I'm very glad that Jim ran Watch the Skies, that shut it down, covered Watch the Skies, and that we all met each other. Because, this last year would have been much worse had it not been for you lot. So yeah.
So say we all. All right, that's about all the time we have. Thank you for listening. Thank you to my guests for their time, but most importantly, thank you for attending MegaCon. If you look in the announcements page on the Discord, you will see a link to our feedback survey. We would absolutely love for you to fill that out, as your feedback is literally priceless to us. And before we go, I'd like to say a big thank you to Becky, Chris, Ed, and Matt for organising this fantastic weekend. I'm sure anyone who played a game, listened to a seminar, or just hung out in the pub would agree that you guys did an amazing job of running this thing and keeping it on the rails. So thanks so much for listening. If your thirst for Megagames has only increased as a result of this weekend, do check out Megagame Assembly for our calendar of games, blogs, and lots of resources. Check out BeckyBecky Blogs for really good Megagame and other gaming blog posts, and head over to Mr. Megagame for game streams and interviews with Megagame creators and organisers. Links to all of these will be available in the chat and the Discord. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.